Hey there, Film Buds. Welcome back to the Film Buds podcast. I'm your host, Paul.
And I'm Lauren.
And happy Hispanic Heritage Month.
Woo! In 2 weeks, technically.
Yeah.
But here on the Film Buds, it's all month.
Cart before the horse. Cart before the horse, Davis.
I'm sorry. I got excited.
No, that's all right. But no, happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Of course, Lauren is right. Hispanic Heritage Month does not actually begin on September 1st. It begins September 15th, and it lasts until October 15th. Last year, we actually covered it on episodes 186 and episodes 190. Actually at mid-September and mid-October, perfectly.
Yeah, we did kind of a normal one in September, and then we did the horror one in October.
Correct, yeah. We did Frida and Under the Same Moon, La Misma Luna.
Oh, yes.
And then, of course, we did Kronos and Tigers Are Not Afraid. But this year, we were planning out the calendar. We did this months ago, almost a year ago now. And we were trying to plan out monthly themes, and we decided that we would go ahead and dedicate all of September to Hispanic heritage. It seemed like the good call. It seemed like the interesting call. We truly love going and trying to explore every facet of filmmaking and what it can be, and that sort of thing. And so it just seemed like a good idea to do, because also we really enjoyed it last year.
No, yeah, I had a blast doing it. I honestly couldn't, me, I can't remember crap. But you so graciously reminding myself, the forgetful one, and our dear listeners, what our last year episodes were about. It sparked all of that right back in, hadn't thought about it in a while, what we had done, and saying the names, I was like, yes, Frida, such a good movie, so interesting,
Well, and once Under the Same Moon for me is a movie that the moment I think about it, I remember it so vividly.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because I just, that was one that I didn't know where we were going with that one for a little bit there. But also watching Kronos. Crazy vampire movie. Super fun.
Yeah. Guillermo's first.
Yeah. And now we're doing the second one. That's... We're just going to go through the whole thing,
Don't worry. We're checking them off one by one, folks.
That's right. Always a good time here with Guillermo.
We're gonna make them through one by one, and eventually one day we'll maybe get to have them on.
Oh.
Wouldn't that be something?
That would be something. One can dream.
But yeah, so we decided to do that again this month, and we actually recently went through and purchased some of the films from the Criterion collection that we're going to be talking about this month. And, as Lauren said, we're going to be doing Guillermo's second big movie. We're doing El Espianzo del Diablo, also known as The Devil's Backbone.
See.
It's from 2001. And it's I wanted to go back and do it because it's one of the few Guillermo movies that I haven't seen. I have pretty much seen. Yeah, I think I've seen all of them now, except until this point. I think that I had pretty much seen his entire filmography. So this was the last little piece.
I don't know if I can confidently say yes or no to how many Guillermo movies I've seen out of what there are, because I truly don't know the entire list.
Well, we'll get into that in a second.
Okay. Cool. Delightful.
But on top of that, we have, of course, also now really gone fully through like our first full year of Film Buds, because August was our first month. And so now we have gone through and like fully completed a full year of Film Buds.
Wow, I've been critiquing for a year now. Yay! Next stop, the North Carolina Critic Association. I'm coming for you.
And so, it also feels good to go back and kind of touch on something that we did again, a year ago.
Creating traditions.
Yeah. I guess before we get started, I was having a conversation with, I have an international set of coworkers. And one of my coworkers is a lovely woman from Poland. And she and I were talking about film, and she's not particularly fond of most, not all, but most American cinema. And she really, truly enjoys international cinema. And we got into a little bit of storytelling and international perspective and that sort of thing. And I wanted to ask you, as someone who, especially I think particularly, doesn't have a, film background in any kind of classical, training sense, and having gone through during this year where we have touched on a lot of different cinema, both inside of America and internationally from a lot of different time periods, what would you say stands out to you the most about the key difference between traditional Hollywood cinema storytelling and international cinema?
I think that international cinema is willing to do something weird. I think that there's this like openness for, obviously there are things that are, considered, I guess, ordinary, but everything has, something interesting about it, whereas I find that a lot of American cinema can be very safe in its structure. It's very predictable. It's at some points hard to go on that journey with this character because it's just so familiar that I could be doing my taxes while watching it because like I don't actually have to watch this movie. I know exactly what's going to happen next. This character is going to do X. They did it. All right, then that's going to lead us to Y. Ooh, fantastic. And it can kind of be boring. And like that's not saying that like for the that everybody who is making a movie in America is following these kind of set guidelines, but as a massive media conglomerate that it is exactly that. It's a content machine, and it's hard, I think, for a lot of movies nowadays to actually make their mark on the pavement. It's because of the fact that they're just, they're mediocre movies, which would be fine if there wasn't such a vast quantity of them. They're getting lost in the slog instead of being like something kind of bad in a sea of interesting things. There's something kind of bad in a sea of also kind of bad things that's going down a rushing rapid of just it's just sound, it's just noise,
Well, and I think by design, I think that traditional American cinema is geared toward naturalism and realism in some sort of sense.
Oh, that's totally fair.
Whereas I think that, like, you look at Guillermo's filmmaking style, or you look at Hispanic film in general, as far as we've experienced it, but then you also go and look at, like, Japanese cinema, or even some of the Indian cinema that we've seen. I think that you see a willingness to extend to melodrama in the same way that theater does. In a still natural way, but a very heightened way, you know? And I think that that willingness to also bask in more emotionally palpable storytelling also helps it transcend language barriers on a certain level as well, better than toned down naturalism. Because you and I can be having a conversation in English that is very, very serious and very, very nuanced, where we're not really having a lot of emotional pitch that gives away really anything that the moment is about. Whereas you go and you look at something like The Lighthouse, and that's a very physical, melodramatic, willing to live in grandeur on a certain level in the performance sort of storytelling that you also see echoed in things like Japanese cinema with certain samurai films, or with Godzilla. You know, this willingness for melodrama that is naturalized.
No, for sure. And I guess that's kind of what I meant when, by they're willing to make bigger, bolder choices.
Yes.
You know, or, you know, to be a little off the cuff of normalcy in order to portray actual, like, normalcy. You know,
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Yes. I absolutely adore that movie.
Everything about that movie is relatable at the emotional core.
But it's wrapped in this just, like, fun ride of a movie that's not distracting either.
And is fully whatever a cinematic spectacle is.
Exactly. It's really taking the medium and respecting it and showing it off. You know, not just in the way that, like, Dune shows off what a film can be. You know, it's this huge landscapes, you know, which is great, and it's visually so interesting, but also, like, is it really adding anything at a certain point? You know, whereas, like, with Priscilla, you know, it's this complete show within a show almost. It's otherworldly.
Or Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes. No, I think that's
Grandeur,
totally fair.
spectacle, melodrama, heightened in every sense. And that's also, I guess, that's also, I guess, what's truly fundamentally the difference at the core of what you should aim for between what's supposed to be presented on a big screen and what is truly something that can be watched on anything. A good movie should be able to be watched on anything, but some things are made to be watched on anything. True cinematic, you know, I think a lot of good cinematic experience, even if it's emotionality, is meant to be, you know, put up on the biggest thing that you can see it because it has that grandeur, even if it's in the emotional performance.
No, I think that's totally fair. I also think that, you know, European cinema and other parts of the world, honestly, cinema has this unique perspective that you don't get here in America. I think that the version of America that the world sees is not a real place. Whereas I feel like in a lot of, you know, movies, let's say, like Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
I don't doubt for a second that that's a real place.
Yeah.
And that these are real people. You know, everything is obviously heightened, you know, to this spectacle level of precision and mixed with comedy, you know. But I think that it's also very uniquely true as well. Whereas, you know, I love the Fast and the Furious franchise. But, like, that's not a real... I mean, I guess it is for some people. Sure. But, like...
In a sense.
But that's not like an entire region of the country, I guess, in another.
No, but I think that you're getting to an interesting point, which is that, I guess especially when we are talking about this, specifically, we are talking about what's primarily exported. We're definitely not talking about independent cinema or certain specific filmmakers, that really go out of their way to be very identity specific, in terms of American filmmaking. We are talking about, classic Hollywood filmmaking.
Yeah.
And so, or as it's referred to by dear David Cook, my professor, CHC, Classic Hollywood Cinema. And so that's kind of what we're referring to, right? Is the sanitized product of whatever is packaged and deliverable as this kind of commodified version of American cinema. This does not pertain to like Spike Lee.
No. I mean, I hoped that was,
evident.
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify for anyone not following along.
No, that's totally fair. Because I do think that there are gems.
Of course.
In, American cinema, obviously, but I think that as like a mass entity.
No, and I think that the general willingness is not there.
No, yeah, because at the end of the day, the American movie system is a business.
But also, and I think that I really clicked on something here especially. I think that if you look at the theater traditions of other cultures, like Japanese theater, and I think that if you look at like Central American and South American, things like telenovelas and that sort of thing, there is a lot of just cultural importance on that heightened performance.
Well, also, to your point, as well, there's more respect, I think, for arts in general in other parts of the country, more so than here in the States. We basically either say, like, you've got to be a movie star or a pro athlete, and then that's it. Nothing else in between those two things truly matter. You can't actually, here in the States, become, like, the next Van Gogh. It's impossible because nobody cares. Because you're not a movie star or a pro athlete.
Or a TikToker.
Or a TikTok dancer, extraordinaire. Good. I'm glad you all know the same dance. Welcome to my entire life. Welcome to musical theater.
But no, and so I think that that's one of the things that I've definitely really learned and sort of gleaned from it is just that sort of willingness to let cinema be exactly what it is and let it be as big as it needs to be.
No, yeah, use the medium in interesting in different ways through your own personal lens.
And mash things together to tell the story that you need to.
Yeah, gosh, that Christmas movie that we watched, oh gosh, the was it
Rare
Danish?
Exports?
Yes, that movie. I think about that movie all of the time, and it's because it's doing something completely unexpected.
Yeah,
it's so nice to go down a ride, like a roller coaster ride, for the first time, especially when you think you know what you're getting in for. Yeah. It's great.
No, absolutely. And so I guess with that sort of out of the way, we'll go ahead and jump into Hispanic Heritage Month in earnestness. Now, if you want to hear about the further background of Hispanic heritage, I'm afraid I don't have the history lesson for you here. You gotta go back to 186. Sorry about it.
I mean, hey, we'll link it below, and, there we go. We did all the work for you.
There you go. So if you want to go and hear the background of Hispanic heritage, you can pause here, go there, come back. But or essentially...
Just, finish this out.
It starts at the Independence Day of a lot of different nations in Central and South America and that sort of thing. And it lasts, like I said, from mid-September to mid-October. And it's meant to be like a whole big sort of celebration, and so this month with it, we're trying to touch on more things than we did last year. Last year it was very specifically, almost inadvertently, sort of Mexican focused, in all of the stories that we did.
Mm-hmm.
And so with this month, we're trying to dance around and touch on a few different things. But, like we said, we had to go back and touch on something familiar, and we're going back to Guillermo del Toro's The Devil's Backbone. Guillermo, of course, was born in Mexico. He is a Mexican filmmaker, but what's interesting also is that two of his big films take place in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
But they did star and film in Mexico, and film and involve Mexican actors and South American actors and that sort of thing. So without further ado, The Devil's Backbone was released in 2001. It's rated R. It lasts an hour and 46 minutes. It is written by Guillermo del Toro, Antonio Trasoras, and David Munoz, and it is directed by Guillermo del Toro. The plot is after Carlos, a 12-year-old whose father has died in the Spanish Civil War, arrives at an ominous boys' orphanage, he discovers the school is haunted and has many dark secrets which he must uncover. The cast includes Marisa Paredes as Carmen, Eduardo Noriega as Jacinto, Federico Lupi as Dr. Caceres, Fernando Tielve as Carlos, Inigo Garces as Jaime, and Irene Viceros as Conchita. And so I guess without further ado, especially since they've heard me yammer for quite a bit now, we'll turn it on over to you.
We've both been yammering.
Dear, what did you think of The Devil's Backbone?
I thought that this movie was really interesting, honestly. I think that all of the things that Guillermo does has a lot of thought and, foresight involved with it, and I really enjoyed watching this movie kind of unfold around me, especially about a topic that I'm not familiar with. I'm not familiar with the Spanish Civil War at all. It's the Civil War that we just don't talk about in American schools. And honestly, yeah, I'm not very familiar with most of Spain's history, unfortunately. Might be. But this was very eye-opening as well to that, in this battle that wasn't that long ago as well. This movie set in the 30s, like the mid to late 30s, which is fascinating as well, trying to put that into my own American timeline and what that means. I really enjoy his style of filmmaking. I think that this movie is this beautiful telling of this little boy kind of discovering that the world isn't as nice of a place as like you would want it to be. And each of these characters has a hard time with something, and it's very human place as well, even though there's like these spiritual things happening as well. It's like kind of little ghost story happening with the murdered boy who haunts the orphanage. But no, I really dug this movie a lot. I thought that the characters were really intriguing. I thought that the actors did a phenomenal job. They also have a fantastic director really guiding them through the emotional impact of these lives that they're living. Hard times. I love the like transition that this movie goes through of being like a spooky ghost story and then the kind of being an action film for a little bit, like a little mini one. It's fun. I think that it's a whole journey, and I don't think that anything ever feels out of place.
No, I think that's all fair. Like I said, this was probably the only Guillermo movie that I haven't seen. Kronos, The Devil's Backbone, Pan's Labyrinth, Blade 2.
Shape of Water. Is that his?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Shape of Water. I mean, now I'm going out of order.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you were actually going in an order.
No, you're totally fine.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Continue with your order. Take Shape of Water off the list.
No, it's already there. Hellboy 2, and I might even have been out of order with that, but that's beside the point. What else? Nightmare Alley, of course.
Oh, yes.
Pacific Rim. So...
Honestly, I think that I might have actually seen... I've seen a good number of these movies. There might have been one that I was like, I don't know what that is. Pretty impressed, actually.
So... He's been a favorite of mine for a long time, and I think that Crimson Peak is another one of his, which is another gothic story, and I think that he's...
Is that the one that has Johnny Depp in it that came out in like the early 2000s? Is that the movie I'm thinking of?
No.
Oh, no. I'm thinking of the one where he's a vampire. That's not a Guillermo film. Never mind.
That's Dark Shadows.
Okay, copy.
Crimson Peak is the one with Tom Hiddleston and Jessica Chastain.
I have not seen
Mia
this.
Wasikowska.
I have not seen this, okay.
It's another gothic story. And I think that he is very, very... I mean, it's omnipresent in everything that he does. And, this and Pan's Labyrinth are 100% companion pieces. Kronos as well to a certain extent, but Pan's Labyrinth especially. These children in the middle of the Spanish Civil War plunged into these situations where they have to deal with the reality of growing up, with the forces of oppression, with the face of fascism, with the difficulty of the rebel cause, with the biting reality of adulthood coming to them at a vulnerable age, right there as they make this transition from a tender age into, teenagehood and toward adulthood. And I think that these are 100%, twins of each other. What's so fascinating about them is that this one is a horror story and the other one is a dark fantasy or a fairy tale. But with that, on a certain level, mild spoiler alerts, one has a much brighter ending, and it's the horror story.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And one has the much more tragic ending, and it's the fable. But that's also the nature of the stories themselves. Horrors end with, typically, catharsis.
Whereas fables usually end in lessons.
Exactly. Hard lessons learned at a cost.
Yeah.
And what's also, I think, so enchanting and so intriguing, again, about this movie is that he layers everything into it. And you were talking about these people dealing with all of these things. They are all haunted.
Oh, no, that totally makes sense.
By themselves.
That totally makes sense. And since this boy is like this innocent force, as far as, and these children are, they're being haunted by something else that is themselves. But not really.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, they're not the one that it wants.
No, but they are, it goes back to that sort of Shirley Jackson idea of what is a haunting and like the Haunting of Hill House.
Yes.
And that
yes.
kind of idea.
No, I think that's totally fair, especially with everybody's thing that they're battling.
Mm-hmm. It's a burden that you carry with you.
And some are more obvious than others because also some of them aren't, self-inflicted things, for Homie's fiance. It's definitely not anything having to do with her.
No. And some of these characters aren't necessarily all haunted. Some of these characters, like her, like like the girlfriend character, she pretty much goes Conchita. She pretty much goes through the whole film not haunted. She never comes close to experiencing any of this sort of stuff.
Well, I guess, thinking that, like, his treatment of her was, like, the thing that was holding her
No,
back.
for sure. But, you know, certain characters are definitely very plagued, very burdened. By what they carry with them. And for some of them it's grief, and for some of them it's loss, and for some of them it's just an internal emptiness. But I think all at the end of the day it's very fascinating. And I think that he really accomplishes a lot very quickly in establishing a very succinct emotional language for how everyone is communicating with each other. That's very impressive.
No, I think that that's totally fair. I think that this movie is, like, has a lot of interesting layers to it. And I think that that's something that's so uniquely Guillermo as well. You know, the things, the medium that he chose to tell this tale in. But I think that there's also a lot of sweetness to Guillermo's movies that isn't, I guess, always inherently palpable, if that makes sense. And I think that this movie has just, like, a lot of charm to it, with, like, these little moments that we get with the children. It is like this movie is like a Stand By Me for these kids. You know, they go through a lot of hard growing up, as you said, and really, you know, become, they mature as this movie goes on. They grow years in these days.
And that also, we did end up listening to the director's commentary on the film, and he did talk about how much of what transpires on a certain level inside of the orphanage is an echo of what's happening inside of the context of the Spanish Civil War itself. And so, of course, with that, war is hell, you know, and children, young men and women grow up quickly in the context of war. And so if it's meant to be an echo of the war outside, inside of the orphanage, then it makes sense then that in this condensed period of time, you know, these boys go on these incredible sort of informative but painful emotional journeys.
Yeah.
That shape them for the rest of their lives.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, to go off of you bringing up the director's commentary, listening to Guillermo talk about this film was an amazing experience as well. Like, I think that I have an even greater respect for the film after hearing, you know, why he made the choices that he made, you know, what the purpose behind these moments were, you know, and whether or not you got that on the first time around wasn't what was necessary, you know. He knew that those needed to be there, you know, even as a subconscious trigger for us as the viewer. And it's just great to listen to him talk about why Jacinto can't change. You know, and the fact that not every character gets to have a happy ending. You know, and not every character makes the right choice. You know, and I think that was a really interesting dynamic between this older character who continues to isolate himself and this, like, parallel with the younger character who is the same type of person, but who ends up making a right choice. You know, and ends up coming around in the end. And I think that that's such an interesting perspective because not a lot of things are willing to allow somebody to continue down a wrong path for the whole film.
Yeah.
You know, somehow they have to, you know, bring something around, or it's not as biting of a bad character. You know, it's not something that if you were in our main's position, that you would also, you know, feel these same things towards this person.
Mm-hmm.
No, I really enjoyed Jacinto as a character. He's a great antagonist. His motivations are completely real as well. You know, none of these people are caricatures of some falsehoods of what humanity is. They are flawed, but they are and real.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, I think Jacinto, kind of to your point, and we talked about this a little bit, falls into that sort of tradition of that Jack Torrance sort of figure of this person who, when you first meet them, seems normal, you know, in every sense. And as you go, you realize there are cracks sort of starting to appear, and then you realize eventually that underneath it, the whole person isn't good.
No, yeah.
And becomes unraveled inside of that. And I think that that's also the sort of palpability of the Jacinto characters, that truly when you first sort of meet him, there's nothing about him that gives away any sense of immediately villainy.
No, yeah, it's this subtle layering that's happening of little moments that turn into bigger moments, that turn into really big things, you know. And
that's the damning nature of human character.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not a bastard all at once.
No, it comes in waves.
It's a death by 1,000 cuts.
Yes. And I think that this movie goes on a great journey of really totally steering you in one direction and completely shifting gears on you at the last second. And I think that it's just a really effective storytelling as well. And we forgot to mention that we've got a repeat offender.
Yeah, we do. Dear Federico Lupi, Dr. Caceres, of course, is also in Kronos.
Yes.
As our lead character.
Yes.
Incredible here.
Yes. I mean, it's
he did a beautiful reading of one of my favorite poets, Tennyson.
I understand entirely why Guillermo, you know, was like, I'm going to use this guy again. He's fantastic, and this is obviously like not as big of a character as that one. He's not the main character in this. I think that Carlos is our perspective character.
Yeah, of course.
But I think that his character is I think that he does just a phenomenal job. I think that it's truly heartbreaking in this you know, love affair that he has with Carmen, you know, where he loves her from a distance, you know, and he's loved her from a distance for years. And, you know, if she just said one day for him to be hers, he would do it in a heartbeat. But it's also this kind of like this barrier that's between them, and it's just this beautiful, you know, little hidden love story that's happening. That's subtle, and that's something that you don't see a lot in films. Is this like quiet love?
It's very tender.
Yeah, it's really sweet,
but it's also incredibly bitter at its own level because of its incompletion. Which also goes back to, on a certain level, part of true Arthurian romance in the traditional sense of courtly love, which is this idea of, you know, a woman with another man for a particular reason in the sense of Arthurian legend, duty or honor, and the one that she's truly in love with being this one that she can only love from afar. You know, and it goes back to that same sort of that distant pang of the heart, that that little quiet void.
Yeah. And it's not something that's really talked about. I think that Guillermo, because of just the life that he's lived, honestly, has just this beautiful perspective, and you know, the fact that he manages to find so much beauty in stuff like this, you know, just shows how much he cares as well. You know, if he's willing to, because I think that people have this misinterpretation of what Gothic means. Just as a word, as a theme, as a
sense of what it literally is.
Yeah, you know, and I think that this is an unexpected valley of what that can be. You know, this thing where people think that it's supposed to be, you know, dark and gloomy and you know, and very negative and a light. You know, it can be beautiful and sensitive and sweet, but also tragic.
Well, I think a few things to really quickly go off of that. One of the interesting things that you bring up, Gothic, of course, is also tied to, at least in particularly, especially like a European sense of Gothic, a religious sensibility. Mm-hmm. And in particular, one of the figures that they kind of latched onto in the Gothic era was the Virgin Mary. Mm-hmm. And the pain of this sort of mother that, you know, gives birth to a child destined for greatness and tragedy. Mm-hmm. You know, and that kind of, you know, they really latched onto the Madonna. Mm-hmm. Furthermore, one of the offshoots of Gothic, of course, becomes Baroque and then Rococo, which are exaggerations. You know, it's Gothic, but to this exaggerated, hyper, ultra surrealist, almost colorful, vibrant, exuberant degree. But Gothic had all of that elements, again, of grandeur and spectacle, but it was always pinned with this sensibility of love and pain, which is part of the whole joke of the Addams Family.
No, yeah, I was actually gonna take a quick side note over to the Addams Family and like the Munsters and, you know, all of these things that we grew up watching that not necessarily, I guess, were new to us in the sense that like they were coming out at that time, but like it was stuff that we indulged in because of the fact that it was constantly being shown to us, you know, like the Scooby-Doo and stuff like that, you know, has, you know, all of these things have this really like dark and gloom to them, but also like a lot of warmth. This, I mean, honestly, you nailed it on the head with the Addams Family. You know me. I love the Addams Family.
Love and pain.
It was, you know, because it's also exactly the opposite of what you're expecting them to be, and I always felt like that was a very inclusive, you know, warm thing. You know, if the Addams Family can be a loving, happy family in with the way that they are, then like, you know, anybody can be, kind of thing. And I think that's a great way to feel, to have an outlook on the world. You know, it's like you don't actually have to be happy and sunny,
yeah,
all of the time to be with the people that you love, to do the things that you want, you know, to live a happy life.
Yeah, and why not enjoy the fair weather, or
Yeah.
and the inclement?
Yeah.
You know, if you can enjoy both, great.
No.
You know, and I think that Guillermo understands this innate sort of longing that people have for something, and that true human decisions are made in the longing of something. Mm-hmm. You make bland decisions when you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Because what are you wanting? And I think that that's what he understands so innately about character, is that good character comes from the want to fill a need. It doesn't matter what that need is. You assign it to the character, and that informs what those decisions that they're making are. And I think that that's fully on display here with so many of these characters. And for Carlos, it's truly just wanting to know the truth, coming to this place and seeing these people and discovering that there is something to be discovered and wanting to go on that journey.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's
with
curiosity,
that, exposing the tenderness and the vulnerability of everyone there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that story plays out so beautifully, and I think that that's the same echo kind of Pan's Labyrinth, but I think that you see that essentially across all of his films, and so many of his films are about an outsider coming into a place and discovering the truth about themselves, whether that truth is good or bad, regardless of the outcome. That's really at the core of so much of Guillermo's work, is an outsider coming to a place and discovering something about themselves.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. And that can be scary.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's also, like, that's why this is the perfect kind of way of telling these tales, is because it's also, it's wrapped in its own allegory.
Well, and what's the ending on a certain level of, without giving spoilers, Nightmare Alley? It's a perfect moment of essentially ecstatic grief.
Ah.
I have found purpose.
Yep. No, I think that's totally fair. I think that's an interest. I haven't thought about it like that. I'm gonna have to ponder on this.
I'm glad that I could drop that one on you.
No, yeah, and I see the moment right there, clear as day, and no, I think that you're onto something. And that's why I have to ponder.
So if you had to rate The Devil's Backbone out of 5, what would you give it?
I'm gonna give The Devil's Backbone. Sure, I'm gonna give this movie a 5.
Okay. I'll go with 5 as well. I wasn't sure. I was thinking about giving it a 5, and then you gave it a 5, and I'll give it a 5 as well.
Well, then perfect.
I don't mean, for me, Guillermo is just, he's so tender, he's so smart, and even when he isn't being tender, he's being so fun.
No, yeah.
That it's infectious. It's hard for me to dislike a Guillermo movie, because I know that he is loving every moment of what he's making.
No, for sure. And there were moments in this movie where I was so enthralled with the story that, like, he got me every time.
Oh, he brought me to tears, yeah.
And it was hard, but it was also, just this beautiful story, watching these kids, just, it was everything that, like, you need from a movie like this. It is truly like a Stand By Me kind of film. It's hard.
And that's also, again, and we talked about it a little bit, it's also a similar echo in Tigers Are Not Afraid.
Yes. I mean, we didn't talk about this specifically, but no, I think that movie was very influenced by this film.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
In like a glowing review kind of way, like it's...
No, yeah, that's not like it's not derivative at all.
No. But this kind of, children going on a hard journey.
This powerful pulpability of what is a haunting.
Yeah. And who's truly innocent.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great film, honestly. Like, I would recommend this film. I would recommend this film to a lot of people.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think this is even a movie that I think most people that don't like horror movies, for whatever their preconceived notion of horror is, I think that this is something that they could get behind.
Oh, no, I think that's fair, because
It's not scary that much.
No, and it doesn't lean
It's
into...
tense.
Yeah, it doesn't lean into the scary... It's not like a jump scare kind of film, and Guillermo even talks about it in the commentary that we watched, about the fact that he was like, I didn't ever want, this spirit boy to ever do anything threatening.
That defeats the point.
That's not what makes something scary.
What makes something scary is the unknown.
Exactly.
And what we project sometimes onto it.
And I think that's this great journey of seeing that kind of journey through a child's eyes is fantastic, because it's also the most innocent form of it, and it's the most imaginative of it, so in reality all of this stuff could, in theory, just have been a fiction. But, his imagination took him on this journey of what was going on in this place. Could have all just been a manifestation, but we don't know, and that doesn't matter.
Well, and Gothic also is tied up on a certain level also with Victorian as well, to a degree, in certain sensibilities, when you get into like an investigative story inside of the context of a ghost story. And I think that with Victorian stories, you often saw, this sort of investigative focus and this sort of, mystery focus in a lot of the storytelling. And I think that ultimately at the core also of a lot of ghost stories is this kind of mystery, this kind of investigative story. But anywho, we've already rated it, and now we've also continued.
It's just that good. I'm sorry.
But I guess to round out the conversation, we'll jump into a little bit on what we've been watching. Very recently, we have been watching... we did get started. We can't give you a review, of course, but we did get started on our slasher extravaganza. We've already started watching films, y'all.
Get ready.
It's going to, of course, come at the end of October, but we have gone ahead and started watching some films for that, and we started with Child's Play, the original Chucky film, and we got the Shout Factory 4K of it. It was exquisite, the presentation. And so we've watched that. No review yet, but we have watched it. And then we also watched Back to the Future and Back to the Future Part 2. Part 3 is coming, don't worry. We won't incomplete this whole thing. You'd be insane to just watch Part 1 and Part 2 and then just go, and then it ends.
Well, because it's because Part 2 ends horribly being like, you gotta watch the third one, though.
We've even got a commercial for it.
In the goddamn credits, they're like, here's the commercial for the next one. It feels like a made-for-TV movie, almost. You're like, oh god, you've cheapened it so. Like, you could just pretty much, like, I guess they, like, try to do this thing where they, like, leave it off at the end. Like, but you could have totally just, like, ended it with the first one and been, like, done. And, like, you'd be like, we gotta go to the future. And that'll just been, like, the cliffhanger that never completed. That's fine, because they now have the ability to do time travel. It would have been like, what if Doctor Who wasn't a series?
Yeah.
We just had that first blip, and we're done here. But the commercial is, guys.
It's rough.
No, it is. It's so
especially
bad.
because they essentially lay up what it's going to be with the letter.
Yes.
Like, we literally go through a whole... Honestly, it feels like they showed it to a test audience, and the test audience was like, asked, did you know that it was setting up a sequel? And they were like, what? And they were like, oh, the letter was setting up the sequel. And they were like, what letter?
And then they said, all right, we're going to
put a little trailer. We're gonna
put this flashing billboard that tells you the entire plot of the next one with a bunch of cool doodads and
then they showed it to the next test audience, and they were like, did you know that a sequel was coming? And they were like, yes. And they were like,
literally is
we
like,
solved the problem.
It's like part 3. Like, oh, it might as well have been in 3D. it was a lot. Like, now, yeah, you can't just end with the second one. You have to go to the third one.
So we will be watching the third one.
It's a necessary evil.
I love the first one. I enjoyed the second one for the first time, probably the most I ever have, but I still prefer the first one.
These movies, you can't watch them back to back because the girlfriends are different.
Yes, that's true.
And they literally go through that entire movie being like, hear me out. No, they're not. And it's so bad. It's so bad. Because, like, no offense to... Is that Elizabeth Shue?
Yeah.
No offense to Elizabeth Shue. I love you, Elizabeth Shue. Do not get me wrong. This wasn't your part.
No, that's fair.
This is my least favorite Elizabeth Shue performance because she's just the whiny girlfriend. Whereas, like, the other girl, I felt like really had this, like, deep and interesting relationship with him. Whereas we get the very vapid version in the second one where she's like, oh my God, when did we get married? And how many kids do we have? And what did my dress look like? And I was like, I hate you.
She didn't have anything to show.
Oh, no. I saw it in your face. You had that one chambered.
Yeah, I did.
You were ready for me to take a breath.
Oh, yeah. So, beyond that, honestly, we don't really have too much terribly else for y'all. We recently had our newsletter go out. If you haven't signed up for it, go ahead and sign up for it. We are, of course, going to be continuing Hispanic Heritage Month, like I said, all month long, so please be sure to come and continue to check that out. Next week, we are doing Alfonso Cuarón's Y tu mamá también. And actually, we got one of our new movies that we're doing in the mail. It's sitting downstairs. And I'm pretty pumped for that one. We're doing a documentary this month, so we've got a lot of really interesting stuff for y'all. Please continue to come and check us out. Dear, do you have anything else that you would like to add to the listeners?
Go on Twitter, add us, or however Twitter works.
Follow
us, and then ask us a question. Really simple instructions. You probably already have a Twitter if you're a normal person in the world. This is not a dig. I'm not a normal person. I don't have a Twitter. But anyone that's anyone apparently is on it, and I just don't care. But go on there, follow us, and then ask us a question. It's very simple. It is 3 steps. And that's all I gotta say, I guess.
All right. I guess if I had anything else that I wanted to leave anyone on, today I had a really good conversation with someone who, even though we had a lot of similar opinions on things, we came from entirely different worlds, entirely different backgrounds. And it's so surprising the places that you can find common ground with people, that you can come to an understanding with people. And really, at the end of the day, much as we have discussed, as has been shown in so many films from around the world, the human condition is a shared condition. The human experience is a shared experience. And at the end of the day, we all have the same things. We all have wants and needs, and we're really, truly not all that different. At the end of the day, we want shelter, we want validation, and we want to go to bed feeling like tomorrow is going to be okay.
No, that was beautiful. That was beautiful, love. Fantastic. Gosh. I'm just so cheap. It's just
But also go and ask us a question on Twitter. There,
yeah,
see,
yeah,
there,
yeah.
feel better.
I win. No, it's not about winning. It's about feeling good.
But no, thank you guys as always for listening.
Yes.
We'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.